So let's get the flow of the maamer. The essence of the question of the first paragraph is simply that since Rosh Hashanah already Botla Avodah, the Avodas Perach was bottled for the Yidden in Mitzrayim, so why wasn't the Gula then already in Tishrei? But the Pasuk underscores that no, that Dafka Hachodesh Hazeh Lachem, that the Bechira of Eden and then the subsequent Bechira of Rosh Chodesh ניסן is their month of Geula, then and when Mashiach comes, and now. The point here in the maamer here is that it's obviously all very profoundly, as he's saying, connected to the Istakot of Tzemach Tzedek. He brings the Tzemach Tzedek Barichas and notes that Tzemach Tzedek, when he asks the Shaila, he also asks the Shaila, Anayat Kufa. The Tzemach Tzedek asks the Shaila Barichas. He just doesn't simply say that why wasn't the actual Yetzias Mitzrayim in Tishrei since Butler Avodim Aviyaseinu b'Mitzrayim, but the whole Arichas, it says in Perek Hamad Rosh Hashanah, and moreover, he brings the Arichas in the Gemara that it's learned out of the Pasuk in Tilim Perek Pei Aleph that talks about Yosef and the Hasiresi Misevel Shichmai. Hashem redeemed him from the burden of his shoulder, removed the burden of his shoulder, and that is Tikka B'Chedesh Shofar, and that was Rosh Hashanah, and therefore we learned that Mitachas Sivlis Mitzrayim, Vayitzeis Yeschem Mitachas Sivlis Mitzrayim, I'll take you out of the burdens of Egypt, took place already in Rosh Hashanah. And the Rebbe is emphasizing that because the whole theme of these Maimorim is to bring out the mile of Tishrei of ניסן over Rosh Hashanah, but much more than that, how the Avodah of Rosh Hashanah is nichlal in ניסן. That's the chiddush of these Maimorim, layer after layer, deeper and deeper. It's not Maila, one of the others, but Nisan's Koilel, the Shleimus and the Avodah of Rosh Hashanah, which is Avodas Hamata. So this is explaining is in three Maimorim. I mean, that must have learned that all three. His dafta says it should be, and to understand the chiddush of each Maimor of the Maimor earlier. At any rate, that's the Shaila. Why is Rosh Hashanah? Why was the Geula not in Tishrei? Therefore, and then comes the whole arichas that we see that ניסן, the diak is that not that Aviv is in ניסן, but Nisan's in Aviv. That the determining factor which defines ניסן is it has to be spring. So the ikid is Aviv. Why is that? And furthermore, V'inyan explains that we see that the Moyadim are connected intrinsically to the harvest, to the grain. It's important to get the Gemara straight here because I see further is going to be masbeh. So look at the third line again. Let's get it again. Second line, rather. The pasuk says, "V'hoyu emunas itecha." Pashup Pshat, the faith of your times, your timely faith. Your faith, and there's simply a lot of pirushim to the pasuk, but one is simply your faith at all times in me. At any rate, emunas itecha, so the faith of your times will be, says the pasuk, chaysen, a fortress, strength, Yeshua, salvation, chachmas, vedas, wisdom and knowledge. So there's six descriptions here. The Gemara says refers to Shusasidim Mishnah. The diak here is that the first two are intrinsically connected. There was a whole arichas in the grammar of the way these words are phrased, but the conclusion is that emunas itecha is one inyan. Now emunah goes and say the zroyim, and itecha goes and say the what? Mayed, which is all Yomim Tovim. So we see from the pasuk emunas itecha that of all the Sdorim in the Shisha said the Mishnah, these two are intrinsically connected. That just underscores our question. Why? Why is Royim, which deals with the harvest, the laws of the agriculture. Why is that connected intrinsically as if they're one Indian, not as if they are one Indian with Yomim Tovim? That's the basic shayla. And then he points out also that even in Pashtus Aksuvim, we see that the Moyadim are connected to the harvest, the stages of the harvest. Pesach, the beginning of the harvest, Chag HaKotzir, and Shavuos is, Shavuos is Chag HaKotzir. Pesach is Chodesh Aviv, when the fruit ripens. Explained it. Brought Rashi, Barichas, the two Purushim in the word Aviv. What are they? First to ripen, and secondly, it means a stalk. Full stalk. Avia, Melashon Avia. And Chag HaShavuos is Chag HaKotzir, and Sukkot is Chag HaOsif, ingathering of all the fruits of the final ingathering of the harvest of the crop. So why is it all bound after the Tvua? She started to explain the pasuk V'zarati li ba'aretz. Let's start Is Gimel again. And you understand this by understanding what does it mean, the ripening of the grain, and the connection to Yom Tov as it is b'pnimius inyanim. It's from the way things are b'pnimius. That's why things translate the way they do down here. Begashmis, and hence Yom Tov is bound up with the various stages of the harvest, of the Tvua. And that is the Hine Klolis in Azri Ezroi Mishmezen Nase Bisholat Tvua. So the whole idea of the Seder, the first Seder is called Seder Zroim, which means seeds, because that, of course, is the foundation from which the ripening and therefore happens. So what's the of seeding? Hashem says, I've planted for me in the earth. So it goes on the Shamas, but also the Koyal Inyan HaMitzvahs, it refers to mitzvahs. Why a mitzvah is called Inyan HaZerek Mishakoso? Zero Lechem Tzedakah, plant for Tzedakah, V'Koyal Kol HaMitzvah Tzedakah is a reference to all mitzvahs. Ki Tzedakah Shkula can I get Kol HaMitzvahs? The Gemara says Tzedakah is compared to all mitzvahs, and moreover, Chol Talmud Yerushalmi Yonikra B'Shem Mitzvahs Tam. When the Talmud Yerushalmi wants to refer to mitzvahs, it just uses the word Tzedakah. And this is explained why in Tanya, as we talked about. Now, who sees the mitzvahs? That's Yidden. Who's planting? Who's seeding? Eden. And where are they planting? We plant in the earth. And that too is not just referring to their avodah, but to them. Not just what they do, but you're planting within yourself as it were, because Yidna also called Eretz, Yidna called God's land of desire. So one thing of Eretz Shizem, it's that bit Kabbalah's oil, because referring to Eden specifically, Eretz, the earth all tread upon her, right? So it's bittul Kabbalah's oil, bittul, and the acceptance of the yoke of heaven, mechinas yirah tetor, sheyesh b'hem, that's the quality of the lower level of yirah that Eden have, which is the low level of Yirah is not an inspirational Yirah, but a bittul diki Yirah, a Yirah of Kabbalah soil. So what does all this yield? This is from the Haftarah Pasha Shmos. That's how it begins. Haboyim Yashrish Yaakov Yotitz Parach Yisrael Umilu Pnei Sevel Tenuva. Pasha de Pshat. So the Aboyim, those who come, referring to Eden, so Yaakov takes root, and then it begins to blossom and flower. Eden flower from that. So this is all of my body, mother's Tera'er, from Yaakov to Yisrael. And so Yisrael sprouts and blossoms and flowers and fills the world with tznuva, with produce, with yield. So this is all the avodah of Yidden. We develop the world. We develop the world through the avodah of seeding. That's bittul. We develop and reveal it into tzedusha. Shem commission is barely like we explained before. Shatzem tzedek mevay baruch ba'goysav divrei maschba b'em yasher Yaakov. Where did he say this before? It was in the Sichel of the Farbrengen. The Tzemach Tzedek explains this at length in his Hachodesh to the Alter Rebbe's Maimer. And that is, Shinyan Azriya, you already following, yeah? Shinyan Azriya, Yashresh, they take root. Koila Klolis Man Avodah, that's the Avodah nouns Man Agolos, Befrat in general Avodah, Befrat and especially, Al Masin Vedesin Bemeshas Man Agolos, the Avodah of Yidden throughout Golos. Towards the Dabaloshans from the Alter Rebbe, Maisen Avodah, that's Maisen Kavona. But Meshes Managolas, that's now. But the growth of it, the yield, the produce, the Vilatzmicha, Yotzitz Parach, it will begin to, I said the word, to grow, to sprout. Porach and literally flower and blossom. Tia la'osid lavai will be that. The result is la'osid lavai. Shaz yikurim ha'yiyod, then the promise will be fulfilled. V'nigla kveidavaya, that the glory of Hashem is revealed. That will happen then. Now revisiting the pasuk, v'zeu emunas zeh seder zroyim. So the pasuk says emunas itim. So dividing it, emunas refers to your faith. Seder zroyim. Can you say Birushalmi? What's the connection? He puts his trust, his faith in the eternal one and seeds. Again, because there's so many steps that are required, it's an act of faith. And Hachodesh is masbir, I think he mentioned this, that even though he knows for certainty that that's the way nature works, but that's not why he sees, because every nekuda of teva is a chiddush that is mechadash every moment, and it's all chayalam. So now, what does it mean by b'pnimis and yonim? What does it take faith? Why does our avodah take faith b'pnimis? Because we don't see results but ruchnis. Even though he knows he's not going to see the reward in this world, the sprouting of it, he does what he has to do without seeing results. And that's the emunah here. He believes, puts his trust and faith in the eternal one, and he sees. He does his avodah in Torah mitzvahs, never seeing the result necessarily. Okay, it's got to be pointed out that was true b'chlal in Zman HaGolus, but Erev Geula, the Rebbe insisted and paled, and it happens that you see results. Check your mezuzah and your problems will be fixed. Nachas, bring up your children, up your Torah mitzvahs, we have nachas. The end already now we're starting to see consequence, which we didn't see for 2,000 years, largely, since Churban Bayis Sheni. And that's why many things changed, even halachically. Simcha, it's forbidden. It's forbidden for a Jew to fill his mouth with mirth, with joy till Mashiach comes. And Chassidus demanded simcha. So there's a lot of reasons. But one of it is because already now it's the bridge, the era of the inyanim start to happen. And Poshet Chassidus says megale likus, and then it's v'nikla gveit havaya. So this came along, and already you start to have a nigla gveit havaya. You start to see the Eibishter in creation. Tak in the Sefer. But from the Sefer, it develops the attitude, and you see it b'peil. Not just in the Helem. That was the Alter Rebbe. You saw it in Helem. The Rebbe Zuf to the Shechina Ba'aretz says, you're starting to see it Pashat Begashmius. It's lach in business. Give tzedakah. V'chulu. Weiter, yeah. Amdom. Even though the main growth, the sprouting, the results is in the future, there is a revelation, a reflection, a glimmer of it in all three. They're all called appointed times for simcha. It means an appointed time. And what simcha is gila? So already b'meshach zman hagolus, we have a ha'ora and a connection to the gili of alikus, and that's dafkin yom t'misharem shekasher adam v'besimcha. That simcha is connected to revelation. We see when a person's besimcha as a megalis ha'itris. He reveals their own treasures within himself. The inner properties of his own nefesh. Because simcha opens and bursts the limits, the fences and the limits. And then, when he's a matzav of simcha, he reveals all his inyanim. It's also why the teacher has to start what? In your mind that you said before the chuppah? Milsa the b'dichas, to open them. He has to start with a humorous remark. You can't come in stern. You got to come with a smile on your face and warm them. And the noch can be the class, which is exact and demanding, but it must begin with an embrace. Actually, Zalman told me this when I spoke at the Kinnus. So Zalman told me, I don't know where you read this, but it's very true. This is the point. When you walk up there with a smile on your face. So notice, you'll see if people, it's a professional tactic, but that's what the thing is. You want them to listen. You've got to connect to them and engage them and touch them deeply. What's that? Your smile already does it. That's the milsa the b'dichas. It's an intimate moment that transcends language and everything else into the seichel. It's the bond that you connect. The noch kannst du reden. It's a very true point. I don't know where you read it, but there's a famous Farbrengen, famous because somebody recorded it, the Rab Mendel Farbrengen in 770. Everybody has seen it probably. It's only 5 minutes, but it's really beautiful. He sings the Russian song Luba. I'm talking about, it's a song which the Cossacks sang about their commander, that they're ready to die for him completely, and their bones. A very romantic song, scattered to the field. Luba, it was sang by the Rebbe once. It's very emotional, beautiful Farbrengen. Anyway, but there he starts. The beginning there is that you come to shul in the morning, it has to be a simchas Torah, good morning, not Tisha B'Av. And it's the first thing you smile. Meet each other with a smile. And they didn't. Mendel's language is so beautiful. It was wonderful, his Farbrengens, because there was no airs about. He wasn't this hero from Farbrengen. He came from one of the boys' sense of humor completely. He didn't come out of 17 years in the gulag, not zerbrochen and not some untouchable hero. One of the boys with the next second, the next day. Because when he was there, you did what you had to do. That's it. What do you want from me today? That's what I do. He was no hero, not in his mind. Therefore, he was so endearing because he was such a real person. Upon him. Let's go further. So when a person's besimcha, so that reveals if he wouldn't be in state of joy, he wouldn't be expressing his own abilities. This is the connection between Yom Tov and the stages of the ripening of the grain. As the pasuk says, emunas connects the two things. It's one thing because because Yom Tov is when things begin to reveal and sprout and grow. The result, we can see the result of your mitzvah is a connection to the Eibishter. And there's a Gilui Likus in Yom Tov. Even in Zman HaGolus. And therefore, there's simcha because there's smicha, there's growth, there's a result of the zriya, of the bittul, of the buried in the earth, which is a place of total darkness and it's suffocating. That's what seeding is. But already at Yom Tov, we see already the flowering, the blossoming, etc. The Zahar. בשביל התבואה שנעשה, דהזריע שבעבודת כמעט המצווה, that's the result, this blossoming is the result of the seeding of the Kabbalah soil and the avodah, the mitzvahs of Eden. Daled, yeah, we're following, it's very beautiful, yeah? Daled, the mamshich, because of that's the first two words of the pasuk, and munasitecha, they go and say the Zrayim and say the Moyed. Then, it's all based on the Tzemach Tzedek. Chaysen means strength. Some touch it as a fortress. Say the Noshim, says the Gemara, that's Noshim. The Seder deals with the laws of marriage and so on. The Chaysen, Balashon Chaysen means strength. What's the greatest strength in the world? God's power. Where do we see the strength in the world? Where we see the Koyach Ein Sof Sheyeshna Ba'elam. Where you see Hashem's infinite power in the world, there you're seeing the strength of Hashem. Where is that most revealed? Where do we see in our finite world the infinite? It's a Seder Noshim. Why? Because what's the old Hachodesh? Because the birth, Banim or Bnei Banim, children and children's children, at Seif Kol Adoros, till the end of all time. So first of all, that there's two Giluyim of Ein Sof here. First of all, that it's forever. Children and children and children. And moreover, the Etzem birth itself is miraculous. It's the closest thing to Yesh Ma'ayin. Shoyin Giluy Koyach Ein Sof. Children is the Giluy of Koyach Ein Sof. Baruch B'hemshech Samach Tesamach of Tofish and Zayin, the Rebbe Rashav's by Morad, but he said B'hemshech to the Chasna of the Frierdiker Rebbe. In Yoni B'limudat Torah, what is this in Limudat Torah and Aveda? This applies to everyone. When a person learns as a should, what's he doing? He's connecting to the Eibishter who is Bligvol, because as the pasuk says, Hashem says, my tongue will answer, I will say the words of Torah imrasecha to your words. He's learning Torah. If he learns the way he should, he's causing Hashem to say these words. So he's revealing Ein Sof in the world. Another pasuk which brings out that my words are like fire, and the fire can't become tombe, it's eternal. So Torah is in innovation. It is mamshich. The megala Ein Sof habligul, if he learns Torah as he should. The fire component of Torah, that's the Koyach Ein Sof. Therefore, there's no limit. It means a person can, even whose stomach can learn Torah. Nothing can contain it. Nothing can touch it. So that's the, okay, summarize. What's the end of Noshim? Like you tell me, if we're not seeing of Chaysen, I'm sorry, Emunas Itecha. So Emunas is what? Summarize what he just said now. Emunas is what? Say this Zrayim, say what's that? In a few words. In Avodah. Bachlal, it's what? V'zarati zidu lachem tzedakah, it's Torah mitzvahs. But the diak is, how is it done in a way of zriya, in a way of what? Seeding, putting it in the ground, the germ, the seed germinating and disappearing. It's the avodah of Torah mitzvahs, may of what? Of Kabbalah soil. Yeah? But then, emunas itecha. But you, the Kabbalah's oil, the ha'ara of it, the tzmicha of it, where do you see the tzmicha of your avodah? It's specifically in the Yomim Tovim. That's when it sprouts and is revealed. That's why Emunah say the Zrayim and Itecha say the Moyed. There's a ha'ara in every Yom Tov, and that's why every Yom Tov is characterized by what? Simcha. Even though it doesn't say Simcha by Pesach. It says Simcha by Shavuos and 3 times by Sukkot. That's because Pesach is still very early, so it's more Emunah. It's the bridge. It's more the Emunah. At Parsha Kipshuta, Yidmin Adam Mitzrayim was an act of faith. But they were already, going. The sprouting was beginning. The Simcha of Pesach is a Emunah dika Simcha. But Shavuos, the Sukkot he's already an experienced one. He sees already the result of his Avodah. There's Gilul Likus is commensurate to his Avodah. That's okay. No, yeah. Now, what's noshim? Now what's noshim? Chaysen. They say the noshim. What does chaysen mean? Huh?
Strength.
Yeah. So why does it say the noshim? Because what's the true koyach?
Consistency.
Huh?
For consistency.
Gilui Ein Sof, Blikvul. Where do we see the koyach Ein Sof in the world? It's dafka where? In children. And children should not save kol adeiros. And what is it in Avodah? Last three lines of that paragraph. In Avodah, it's what? You're talking to the Bacher here, not just Bacher, but even the Bacher is not married. What's in Avodah? Say the Noshim. When he learns in such a way that God responds. He learns in such a way that he's Megala and he's learning the Eisha B'Torah, the Lekusha B'Torah. Yeah. I'm just wondering why I meant, because when I first learned it, why doesn't he say that what the Rambam says? It's more in Shulchan Aruch. The union of a person's zera is his koyach. The Rambam says that most people are ill because of riboy zera, because that gives out the whole pnimius hakoyach of the person. The lashon there is chayach, chayil chayil, soul, a component. It's interesting that does not bring that. Does not bring that to say that noshim is union of what of chayzik of koyach. I mean, and it's connected because that's the zera. The zera is the potential for Hiloda. I just want to mention it specifically. Okay, Yeshua's next. Okay, you know, they say the Nezikin. So salvation goes in the Nezikin. The Gemara says, the Gemara asks somebody, why is it that Nisim happened in former generations and not for us? And in the Gemara asking the question, the Gemara says there that our Torah is greater than theirs. Because there, that former generations like Rabbi Yehuda, the Kuli Tanoi Ben Ezekiel, his whole thing he learned was Seder Ezekiel. And we learn also Taharis, V'chulu, our learning is greater. And other miles, the Gemara answered the end because I had Mr. Nefesh. But that's what he's bringing out. He's bringing out over here is that why did Rabbi Yehuda Taka learn? He wants to be Masbir. Why was his focus on Dafkem, on Nezikin? All they learned Kulu Tanoim Ben Ezekiel Hava and his generation of Rabbi Yehuda. It's an Amay, not Rabbi Yehuda, it's Rabbi Yehuda. Shakavanose Ba'isek Ben Ezekiel Haisa. She's Masbir, not because he liked that Masechta. But because by learning Seder Nezikin, it is all the Hazeh the Lumazeh. In order to neutralize the damage of Klippe, Midalad Aves Nezikin, which are the four general categories of damage, as the Mishnah begins in Baba Kama. Shehem, why four? They correspond to Chochma or Bina, and I think this is Teferes or Malchus, I think, the Klippe. It makes sense because it spans the whole 10 spheres. I'm sure there's a hezbollah that matches up the four Avos Nezikin with Chachma and Bina and Tiferes and Malchus. But I don't know what it is. At any rate, but that's what he's doing. The Avos Nezikin, what's he doing? He's neutralizing the damage in the world. So he's Masber. So why is the next generation have the luxury, therefore, to be able to learn and v'chulu, all the other inyonim? Because he was mevatel the hezek. So by learning Seder Nezikin, Nasin Shal Yeshuos, that we are saved from the clutches of evil. Yedeshes mevatel, called the Avos Nezikin, by neutralizing all the primary categories of damage, Yachadim Altel Shalem, and their various offshoots, as the Gemara explains. Yeah, the basic Babak Hashem Vahever and so on. Clear? So you tell me, summarize. We have to stop in a few minutes. So Yeshua says what? say the Nizikin, what's the connection? Yeshua's salvation's in the Zikin. Because through learning Masechta Nizikin, what are we doing? Mevatel the clipper, so we're saved from the clutches from the clip. And that's what Rabbi Yehuda was doing. Okay, we'll just start the next two lines. Chachmas, the next word in the pasuk, they say the kodshim. What's chachma to do with say the kodshim? So Pasha the Pshat, I think the Mefarshim explain, if I'm not mistaken, is because it's very intricate and very involved. Allah needs chachma. But what is it? B'pnimis and yonim b'yin bezeh dinir karbanis kodshim in abirudim. What's the whole unit of karbanis? It's to elevate the animal and elevate the plant life. That's why every carbon explains, right? Had to have all elements of the world represented there. She brings in Tanya the animal and plant life. There was the carbon mincha and the wine, and then the inanimate through the. How's the inanimate part of the world, the daimim elevated through every carbon? The salt, the melech, every carbon, I'll call kabbanach ataktiv melech, as we just read. So the din of karbanis is elevating. When we bring an animal and elevate it on the mizbeach as a pleasing aroma before Hashem, that's the whole thing of elevating the world, and that is done through Chochmah, as we'll continue with Hashem tomorrow. The Chochmah is beriru, as it says in the Zohar. A wonderful day.